Acting Chief Blair says he's taking full responsibility for the survey that was taken during a divisive period of the pandemic.
We were coming in here every day, giving new direction every day that wasn't good direction to give to people. That was given to us by the province or our local, our local health unit. We were shutting down our exercise facilities. We were separating people from the teams that they work with on a regular basis. It was incredibly unpopular.
And all of these internal issues could have an external consequence. The Canadian Police Association says if officers are stressed, overworked, and showing up mentally unwell, that will have an impact on the public and possibly community safety.
When people are feeling disenfranchised or that they're not valued or that the people that they work for don't care or even that the community doesn't care, then they become disconnected. They become less engaged. So ultimately it does have an undermining effect.
In Windsor, 80% of those surveyed say they are happy with the type of work they do, and the acting chief says some changes were made since that survey. Those include an external review of the promotional process after the majority felt it was not based on merit, and the creation of the Employment Engagement Committee, which is meant to improve the culture internally.
And I'm confident if you asked, people would say that I'm connecting and I'm communicating. The people who work with me are connecting and communicating. We took it seriously. We continue to take it seriously.
The Windsor Police Association also says it's noticed a difference on the inside now compared to time under the former chief.
Over the last couple months, things have improved. I've been hearing that from our members. The atmosphere is different. It seems to be much calmer and less stressful internally.
The Windsor Police Service says it hopes to conduct these surveys more often, and they're aiming to have an external company to manage the next survey this fall. Jason Vio, CBC News, Windsor.
Just a warning that this next story deals with suicide. Loved ones of Delilah Blair are hopeful they'll finally get answers years after she died. As we reported earlier this week, the long-awaited inquest into her death is now set for June 20th after years of delays. Blair's mother hopes the inquest will help the family heal.
When I held my daughter for the last time, I made a promise to her that I would not stop until I had the answers of what happened.
Delilah Blair's mother wants justice for her daughter. Blair, a mother of 4, died in hospital in May 2017 after she was found unresponsive in her cell at the Southwest Detention Center. The family was told she died by suicide. Devastated, loved ones want to know how it happened in a place where she was supposed to be safe.
We have a lot of missing and Indigenous girls, and Delilah was Indigenous, and I need more answers on how did she slip through these cracks.
The inquest was supposed to happen in 2020, but COVID set things back.
I'm nervous, and, family's nervous.
According to court documents, Blair allegedly committed a robbery using an imitation weapon 2 months before her death. She grew up in Hay River, Northwest Territories, and later moved to Windsor. McIntyre says her daughter had a rough past and battled drugs, but had a big heart.
Delilah could walk in the room and she had an energy on her. She was bright, she was beautiful, she just had that around her. Her kids carry that, and I see that in her kids every day. And that's what makes me go on.
McIntyre is raising 3 of Blair's 4 children. A senior policy analyst with the John Howard Society of Ontario says an inquest like this is important to prevent future tragedies. In a statement, they say, prisons are difficult places. Sometimes inquests are the only opportunity for the public to learn about what happens inside the institution's walls. We hope that the lessons learned from inquests bring us closer to not needing them anymore. McIntyre is now in the process of raising funds to cover her travel costs for the inquest, for the 40-hour drive to Windsor from her home in Hay River.
I hope to get the answers that I need for that, what happened that night, and some of the procedures, and to put my mind at rest.
And you can find information on how to get supports on our website. The inquest is expected to continue for 9 days, involving 17 witnesses. If you are looking to catch a train out of Windsor, you now have more options. Via Rail has resumed service of one of its trains, bringing it back up to pre-pandemic levels. Our CBC's Jennifer LaGrassa joins us now live from Windsor's Via Rail station. Jen, what does this return mean for riders?
It means that there's going to be more availability for people that are traveling in southwestern Ontario. So about 20 minutes ago, passengers were boarding a train that was just right here beside me, and that's the train that's been off the schedule since about January. Those that I spoke with say that they are happy and excited that there's that evening train back. Via Rail had suspended that evening train in Windsor, along with some others in the province, due to a rise in COVID-19 cases. One couple that I spoke with a little bit earlier today said that this train is going to be a game changer for their relationship. When you're in a long-distance relationship, every moment together counts. But limited train service during the pandemic left this couple without many options.
We usually travel to Toronto and to Windsor because we're in a long-distance relationship. So sometimes we like to stay for the later train, just because if one of us are going back home, we want to spend as much time together as possible, so it's easier.
It just makes things like 100% more convenient and just easier to see each other, and for longer too, so it's just better.
They rely on the train to get between the two cities, as neither one of them is licensed to drive on the highways. When the pandemic first began in 2020, Via Rail suspended some routes. Over the last 2 years, it adjusted its train schedules in southwestern Ontario several times as the pandemic fluctuated. With the rise of COVID-19 variant Omicron, Via Rail reduced its service level in Windsor, only offering 3 trains a day. The return of the 5:41 evening train brings the service back up to pre-pandemic levels.
We're seeing some demands. The pandemic situation has decreased. There's less restrictions. People want to travel. People want to connect with their family, connect with their loved one that they haven't seen for many years, and we're seeing it in the demand.
Now, while Via is hopeful that they won't have to suspend service again, they say they are keeping a close eye on things. Katerina.
Thanks for that, Jen. CBC's Jen LaGrassa reporting live for us tonight. To the U.S. now. The congressional committee that's investigating the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol takes its hearings to primetime TV tonight. The year-long investigation is an effort to show how the traditional, peaceful transfer of power nearly collapsed and what it could mean for future elections. CBC's Magda Gabricelesa tells us what to expect.
Well, during the hearing, we are expecting to see never-seen-before footage from that day, as well as clips from videotaped depositions from witnesses, including Trump White House officials and members of his family. And we're also expecting to see live interviews from some witnesses, including Caroline Edwards. And she is a Capitol police officer, one of the first to be injured on January 6th. It's believed that she sustained a brain injury.
Those images, the smells, the yelling, the chaos, the blood, it was, that day was a war zone.
We're also expecting to hear from a documentarian who was following the Proud Boys, the far-right extremist group. He's believed to have footage from that day, and he will be testifying. And of course, leaders of that group have been charged with planning the attack. Now, the committee members investigating this say they talked to more than 1,000 witnesses. They went through more than 100,000 documents, and they say the evidence shows that there was a conspiracy to overturn the results of the election, and they say Donald Trump was at the center of that.
Multi-level, multi-step process of trying to negate, nullify, and destroy Joe Biden's majority in the Electoral College.
Meanwhile, many Republicans are dismissing the investigation and its findings.
Their focus on attacking their political opponents is so strong, they don't care about the rules.
This committee is not about seeking the truth. It is a smear campaign against President Donald Trump.
Tonight's hearing is just one of many. The next one is scheduled for Monday. Magda Gabricelesa, CBC News, Washington.
Westjet is being called out by trans advocates across Canada for not allowing people to use the X gender marker when booking flights instead of male or female. They're upset and say the airline is violating their rights. CBC's Felicia Chandler has more on the story.
So I finally figured out why Westjet wasn't letting me check in online. It's because I'm trans.
Is Lloyd, a civil servant living in Halifax, recently chose Westjet for a flight, but they say checking in was an ordeal, all because they're non-binary.
I found online that this has been an issue for 3 years, and they've been called out multiple times, and they always give an excuse of it's Transport Canada, or, you know, by the end of this year, like, it's always just like, you know, we'll get to it. Well, it's been 3 years now.
Upon initially booking a series of Westjet flights last week, Lloyd noticed only male or female options were provided under gender. Lloyd picked one and assumed it would be a simple change at the airport, but quickly found out it would be anything but. Westjet staff would not let Lloyd board until using one of those two options.
They told me straight up that the reason I was being flagged was because I was trans. That was the only reason. There was no other reason for it. And just the treatment I got from the Westjet agents wasn't great.
And while Transport Canada says gender is needed to estimate the weight of passengers, a category for people with the X marker was added in 2019. Maddie McMillan, a policy analyst and trans person, says along with other community members, she drafted a call to action proposal for Westjet. She says Westjet has until the end of June to fix the problem.
We have a couple of law firms offering their services, looking at either class sort of situations, but any sort of way to lever towards a way that each party can hold their head high on an airplane. That's what we're driving towards.
This week, Westjet announced it is working to change its domestic reservation systems to include gender X by the end of 2022, and that they're working with the community. In a statement, Westjet says, "At Westjet, it is our commitment to ensure our guests have an equitable travel experience, and we owe a further explanation and apology regarding our progress on adding non-binary options to our booking and check-in systems." Lloyd says they've been consistently ignored by the airline in the past, and they hope to see Westjet stick to its word. Felicia Chandler, CBC News, Halifax.
The Public Health Agency of Canada issued a monkeypox travel warning this week, advising travelers to take extra precautions when going abroad. Monkeypox is already spreading here in Canada, and much of the advice travelers are getting could be used to help everyone protect themselves from the virus. CBC's Lauren Pelly has the details.
At this clinic in Montreal, officials are racing to contain Quebec's monkeypox outbreak. These smallpox shots offer cross protection against both viruses.
I can say so far that it's been 816 doses already administered.
Some of those signing up are close contacts of confirmed cases. Others work in professions that could put them at a higher risk of getting infected, like Lawrence Clifford Reddy, a massage therapist.
I'm hands-on throughout the whole body.
Skin-to-skin contact is largely how this virus spreads. This clinic has treated roughly 15 patients so far.
We started with one case every 2 or 3 days, and now we're assessing 1 to a few cases a day, depending.
For some patients, the telltale lesions are incredibly painful and appear across the body. For others, they're barely noticeable, only appearing on certain body parts, including the hands, face, or genital areas, even hidden inside the mouth.
We simply suggest to individuals to cover their lesions and stay isolated as much as possible.
Some health officials warn large summer gatherings may accelerate virus spread, and the World Health Organization says halting transmission now is key.
The risk of monkeypox becoming established in non-endemic countries is real.
The majority of cases being reported in this unprecedented global outbreak have been among men who have sex with men. The Gay Men's Sexual Health Alliance is now trying to raise awareness of an illness that's unfamiliar to most Canadians.
Pride is just around the corner, and our message so far has been that monkeypox is something to be paying attention to.
He says the broader public should also be aware.
We don't know the current trajectory of where we're going with monkeypox infections, but there's nothing to suggest that it won't impact folks in many different communities across the country.
Lauren Pelly, CBC News, Toronto.
Let's take a look outside there at the Ambassador Bridge. It's been mostly cloudy today with chance of some showers tonight. That's been the forecast really for much of this week. And Dahlia Ashry will be here right after the break with more. Stay with us.
Yay.
Dahlia Ashry joins us now for a look at our weather forecast. Dahlia, the sun is shining right now, which is really nice, but I'm still on alert for possible showers.
It sure is. You know, I was just saying that, like, Mother Nature just keeps taking us on these wild roller coaster rides with the weather, but for the weekend it's going to look a little brighter. So the normal high this time of year is 25 degrees, sitting a bit below that in Windsor, 23 degrees. Same thing with the normal low, 14 degrees usually this time of year, and right now 12 degrees. Now, if we take a look at the current temperatures in Windsor, 22 degrees, London and Kitchener, 20 degrees, Chatham-Kent, 20 as well. Sarnia, similar conditions to Windsor right now, and the cooler side is Goderich. And as you can see, there's a little bit of sustained winds that are coming through. Winds are very light, gusting 20 kilometers an hour. And if you take a look at Chatham, Kent, heavier winds gusting over there, 26 kilometers an hour, which might give you a little bit of that breeze that you've been experiencing. As you can see here in Windsor, there's a little bit of precipitation. It's starting to make its way through from south of the border. And that will continue as well, peaking through Thursday until 11 p.m. It starts to clear up a little bit, so you have a bit of a clearer night. Friday, so tomorrow morning, a nice clear commute, dry commute, and that will continue basically until 2 o'clock. A bit of clouds here and there, and it might even be spitting just a smidge. And we start to see that clear up again Saturday, a nice beautiful morning, a little bit of overcast, and Saturday 3 p.m. we see a little bit of precipitation, might spit a little bit, but it will eventually clear up as you go into the afternoon. Overnight tonight, Windsor 11 degrees, a nice clear night. There is fog across the region, kicking through 12 degrees, and as we head into 5-day forecast, really it's all looking great except for Sunday. That's when you're going to get the most rain, 70% chance of rain, so keep an umbrella ready for that. But Friday and Saturday, you can make the most out of your weekend and head outdoors, and the commute for Monday and Tuesday will be looking good, 27 degrees and 23 degrees for Tuesday.
That looks awesome. Thanks for that, Dahlia.
Thanks, Katarina.
When we come back, passengers in Windsor are the second most forgetful in the country. We'll tell you what that's about. Stay with us. Welcome back. Passengers in Windsor are the second most forgetful in the country. That's according to a survey from the ride-sharing service Uber. One of the most unique things left in a Windsor Uber was a scanner. And we sent our video producer to ask you what you've forgotten in an Uber.
I've forgotten my wallet one time myself, yeah.
And what was that like trying to get it back?
I actually didn't get it back. No. Because I think I lost it in the cab, but I might not have. It could have been somewhere else.
Always. I forgot my phone once, and then I had to call the company through someone else's phone. I'm very forgetful. Yeah. I started tying it to me when I get into like new things that are in like my car, and then like I remember to always grab my things because like I'll forget my bag anywhere. My AirPods, I just lost my AirPods. So yeah.
A cab or an Uber?
No, I don't know where they are. I can't remember. But not in a cab, I don't think. So
we need to check our stuff before leaving the cab, like before entering and leaving because sometimes it's very difficult to just get it back.
Uber's survey found the top 3 most commonly forgotten items to be phones, wallets, and keys. And it listed the most unique forgotten item as a hockey jersey that was left in an Uber in Winnipeg. The next story takes self-love to an entirely new level. A young woman in India married herself. The 24-year-old said her marriage was similar to many others in that she married someone she truly loves. It just happened to be herself. She said she viewed the step as a sign of self-acceptance. It was the first wedding of its kind in India, so it attracted a lot of attention. It was supposed to take place on June 11th, but when she encountered problems arranging a venue and a priest, she tied the knot with herself 3 days earlier. And some stunning images of planet Earth to share with you now. This spectacular footage of the blue planet was captured by astronauts aboard the Chinese space station. Several vantage points feature the beauty of the Earth as the station passed over it at different times of the day. Members of the crew captured the images during their 6-month mission before they returned home in April. That is it for CBC Windsor News. For news anytime, you can go to our website at cbc.ca/Windsor. You can find the story about the police situation by Jason Vio on that internal memo that he got with a Freedom of Information request that he made. You can read that online. You can also read more about the inquest into the death of Delilah, Blair. And of course, all of our stories are there. We're also on social media as well. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. If you've got story ideas, feel free to write into us as well. You can write us at windsor@cbc.ca. As always, thanks for watching. Have a great night.